Are you finding enough time in your busy life to get your writing done? If not, you could be making one of these time management mistakes. Hi, I'm Colleen M. Story, and this is Writing and Wellness. The first time management mistake is putting your writing last. What I mean by this is that you're thinking, after I get everything else done I have to do today, then I will sit down and write. Maybe you have found that this is not working out very well in your life. If you make writing your last priority, it's probably not going to get done. There's always something else to do. You have to be willing to let some other things go. If you want to fit writing into your life, you've got to create an opening for it. Put it as one of your top 3 priorities. Schedule it in to your daily calendar to make sure that it gets done. Can you volunteer for such and such an activity? Yes. Can you come help me? Sure. Can you get this done? Can you get that done? Sure, yes, I can. Unfortunately, this often means saying no to your writing. Take a look at what you're saying yes to and see what maybe you can cross off that list to say yes to your writing. We want it all. We want to keep doing everything we're doing and fit writing in there too. Oh, and let's fit some platform building in there too. Well, it's not realistic. It's not going to happen. Depending on where you are in your writing career right now, you are probably going to have to give something else up to be able to devote the time you need to your writing. Think about in your life if you're ready to make that sacrifice. If you're serious about making progress in your writing career, you're going to have to give something else up to make room for this writing dream of yours. There are more distractions pulling our attention away from our writing today than there has ever been in the history of the human race, right? I mean, you've got the internet, you've got emails, you've got social media, you've got the phone sitting right there distracting you. You have to get rid of all this if you want to be able to focus on your writing. This is a time management tip because as long as you are distracted, it's going to take you 2, 3 times as long to get your writing done as it would if you can focus and concentrate on the story during the time that you're spending writing. Clear your writing nook of all possible distractions. Put the phone in another room. I tell writers this all the time. Studies show if it's sitting there, even if it's, you're not looking at it, it's still feeding things to your brain. Your brain's like, oh, I wonder if, somebody answered that email. I wonder if somebody answered my text. Did somebody like my post? There's this stuff going on in the back of your brain just because of the way that social media works, the way that emails work, that kind of needles at the back of your brain and disturbs your focus. Put the phone in another room. Turn off the internet. Shut down your email. Do everything you can to eliminate distractions. And then, put a sign on your door, close the door, make sure no one's going to interrupt you. Every time you're interrupted by a distraction, studies show that it can take up to 23 minutes for you to get your focus back. Here you are in the middle of your chapter, someone knocks on the door, you've just lost 23 minutes. So do everything you can to eliminate distractions entirely. Noise canceling headphones are another really good idea. Are you convinced that you can multitask? Sure, I can write while watching TV, or while babysitting a young child, or while doing some other task. The problem is when you ask yourself to do this, what you're asking your brain to do is to focus on the story, focus on the child, focus on the story, focus on the TV show. The brain doesn't really multitask. What it does is switch quickly back and forth from one task to the other if you're doing more than one at a time. Bad news for your story, for your productivity, for being able to really sink into that fictional world that you're working on. If you can improve your focus and concentration by getting rid of distractions like we said a minute ago, and by not requiring yourself to multitask, you'll be able to get so much more done in 15 minutes of writing. If you get up late, or you start your day late because you spent the first 30 minutes examining your Twitter feed when that's not usually what you do, it's going to throw your whole day off. And the time that you had planned for your writing is probably going to disappear. Make sure that you're getting up at the same time and going to bed at the same time every day. That is the best way to improve productivity if you're having trouble with it, to sustain good productivity if you're doing well with it. Just try not to start your day late. Speaking of sleep, here's another time management mistake that writers make. They avoid self-care or neglect themselves. So maybe they're not getting the recommended 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Maybe they're filling their bodies with junk food and stuff that's going to increase inflammation and make them feel awful. Maybe they're not exercising most every day. Exercise inspires energy. If you're not exercising, you're going to feel more tired. exercise, a good diet, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. These are all really important to time management for writers. I think it's even more important for us than for some other people because, like I say, we're trying to do this second job at the same time that we're managing everything else in our lives. So we've really got to be at our best to be able to keep the writing going while we're keeping everything else in our lives going. So make sure that you're not neglecting self-care. Understand that from what studies show, perfectionists tend to be less productive. Well, it makes sense. If you're a perfectionist, it takes you longer to do anything, right? Because it has to be just right, has to be just perfect. If you're a perfectionist in everything, everything's going to take longer to get done, which is going to leave you less time to write. So consider what activities maybe can be less perfect in your life. What can you do subpar that you can get away with so that you can do it faster and have time to write? Do you set a time limit on yourself when you sit down to write? In other words, do you say, okay, I've got 20 minutes to write and that's it? Or do you say, oh, okay, it's Saturday morning, I'm just going to write for as long as I want? If the latter method works for you, then more power to you. But for many writers, what happens if they don't set time limits is that they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot in terms of productivity. Studies have shown that we tend to take up the time that we give ourselves. For instance, if you give yourself 2 hours at work to do a project, it's going to take you 2 hours. If you give yourself 90 minutes to do the project, you could probably do it in 90 minutes. So if you're struggling to find time to write, it could be that you're simply giving yourself too much time. Reconsider setting time limits for whatever you're doing, for your writing for sure, and then maybe for some other things as well. But just giving yourself that time limit is going to inspire you to be more productive during that time. Where do you want to be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? It's really important to keep that in the front of your brain. Put up a sticky note. Best-selling author in 5 years. Publishing contract signed in 3 years. Whatever your long-term vision is, you want to have reminders around somewhere. What happens is we tend to write day after day after day after day, and we're working on building our platform, and we start getting kind of dragged down, we start getting tired, we're just doing all this work and nothing really is coming back yet. We can get bogged down and kind of forget where it is that we want to go. And that whole downward slide messes up your productivity. It's going to start making it take longer for you to do your writing. It's going to make it start feeling like a chore to do your author platform building. You want to keep that vision in mind. I remember when I was in the trenches, so to speak, writing for many years, practicing, not getting that novel publishing contract that I wanted. I remember that feeling of just, I just don't know if this is going to happen. You have to keep that belief going in yourself. Keep motivating yourself. Keep lifting yourself up so that you can keep the energy you need to keep going after this dream day after day, year after year. Writing is a long-term gig. It's not something where you work for a while and wow, big, huge reward. It's usually work for a really, 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 really long time. And oh, here starts coming in some little trickles of rewards. That's kind of how it works for most of us. So find a way to keep your vision in mind, and that's going to help you with being more productive with the time you have to write. If you can correct all 10 of those time management mistakes, you should be doing a lot better finding time to write and getting your stories completed. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notifications button so that you're sure to be alerted the next time I have a video come out.